Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is of particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Father of a Stolen Child, otherwise known as Refracted Curvature, Righteous Force, get some of these names right today, not doing too well, Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
You mean snap, crackle, and pop.
I mean Righteous Voice, that's what I mean.
That's a nice.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning,
Get my
good morning.
snap, crackle, and pop?
Good toast.
I think we're having a pretty good discussion in the pre-show about the nature of reality, so I'm hoping that will continue after a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence that you can have a curved adjacent whilst acquiring an elevation angle?
That's a painful one right there.
That's a game over right there.
That's a scenario where you can't beg the question right there.
True.
Seriously, anybody hearing you're going to need R for that? No. You're
Nope.
definitely not going to need R for a straight line meeting a straight line. Definitely not going to need R for that. You're going to need a flat plane for that. And to get this angle measurement, regardless of your fundamentalist religious belief in a sphere, you're going to need a flat plane to get it. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
That's just silly.
Liven up a bit, eh, Discord? No Earth curve? Nobody been told Earth curve exists on their travels?
Well, you would think that they would. The horizon's supposed to represent the geometry of Earth, isn't it?
That's supposed to be Earth curve, yeah.
Nobody defends that anymore, huh?
Well, there's a lot of people on that side say when they get on an airplane, they see Earth curve, and they were on top of this, they see Earth curve. But where are they now? Are they going to speak that into reality?
Yeah, there is no speaking things into reality. We'll get to that in the aftermath of the housekeeping questions. Any evidence of Coriolis, axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Turning beneath things? No.
No, Mitchell from Australia launched his drone and was showing it live on YouTube on his channel, and he put it into a hover position. Everything was still. Then he moved the drone from right to left, I believe, and there was movement being picked up as because the drone was moving.
Well, you would need a radial value to have an axis. So
Makes me smile every time. Yeah, that's right. You're going to need R.
Oh, dear.
That's right. I love it.
Nathan, I wanted to ask you, when you were talking to that guy the other day, why don't you just bring him to that when he was asserting gravity? I thought you were just going to chop him right in half and tell him you're going to need a radius for that.
Because he lied and said he was here to learn and that he hadn't had any form of contact with flat earthers. He was a liar because he'd actually spent a considerable period of time conversing with DITRH, sending in paragraph after paragraph begging the question of a sphere, Earth and gravity. So he lied and said that he was here to learn. I took that at face value. More for me. I keep saying this. On the one hand, that's better because it meant I was far more calm. Now, I've said it and admitted to it. If he'd have come saying what was the truth of the situation, which is he was here to try and get Bitcoin based on his high school education about a heliocentric world, that's what he was here to do, then he wouldn't have, I'd have been a lot more short with him. But then again, it probably wouldn't have been as airable.
By the way, that show aired yesterday, and I did hear myself saying that guy's disingenuous.
Yeah, well, you were right. No one would have ever dreamt that the guy was there to win Bitcoin, given that he said he'd never spoken to any flat earthers before. Well, like I say, I'm sure if he was here, he'd be like, no, I didn't actually speak to him verbally. It was the first verbal intro. You're like, whatever. Give me these weasel words. What we had the impression of was complete first-timer, newbie, doesn't know much about the subject, here to learn. That was the impression he gave us. Complete lie.
Yeah, but there was a point, and then you can go on with housekeeping, where he was just chanting, and I'm sorry, that just gave him up to be disingenuous. Because if you're here to learn, you're not going to be chanting as someone's trying to educate you.
There we go.
I don't know that.
Go on, John. Sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know, because a lot of people you talk to about this subject, they may just be normal people, but because the programming is so strong, it turns into a chant with them.
No.
So.
No, you're wrong.
Chant it. Yeah, you're right. We saw it with, I've forgotten his name now, Harp yesterday. Same principle. Didn't even have to be something he strongly believed in. Just something he was convinced enough to tell us, I think you're wrong about something, here's my example. That's enough for people to stick by it, because no one ever wants to be wrong. Now, when it's something so fundamental as the world itself, that's why people go so arrogant. Well, I know, with just a cursory amount of information, I can win free Bitcoins on offer. I'll have that. I don't even need to research what gas does. I can just tell you. Gas go down, go boom, boom. It's bloody hellfire. There's really the level of intellect that think they can win Bitcoin with a high school knowledge of heliocentric gas behavior. Wow. But that is what we're dealing with, and they'd rather spend their efforts and times convincing us that they've never interacted with any flat earthers than just say, yeah, I think Earth's obviously a sphere. What are you, idiots? I'm here to get Bitcoin for telling you how spherical it is. Yeah? No, mate. Yeah. No. Clearly he's had some reason. No, I can't divine his thoughts, but he's had some reasoning behind that. I suggest that he's gone back and listened to a couple of the shows, specifically the ones where people are trying to get Bitcoin, and realise what happens when you just admit that you're here to get Bitcoin, and that you've treated a little bit kinder if you at least intimate that you're here to learn. So that's what he said. I can only assume, based on my own experience with my own show, obviously there might be all sorts of reasons I can't really say, but that's what I would guess. But he lied. That's the bottom line. He lied. He was here to get Bitcoin. He wasn't here to learn about why Earth's flat.
It speaks volumes that nobody's won this Bitcoin yet, doesn't it?
Well, Earth was, is, and always will be, obviously, observably, navigatably flat. So, does it shock you that no one can prove it's spherical when it only exists in the maths? It's a model. It doesn't shock me. As I said all along, I'd love to go after 3 Bitcoin. I'm really poor. So,
no, it should
yeah,
be
that'd
shocking
be nice.
them, is what I'm saying.
Say again?
Should be shocking them, is what I'm saying.
What's more shocking is that they're not here fighting for their Mother Earth anymore. So how in the world are they going to cash in on Bitcoin when they're not here winning any other arguments before the Bitcoin challenge went out? In fact, I think that's there to get them here, but they're not even coming in for that except in a haphazard way.
We got to get this to the next level. I'm sorry.
Why? They're defeated. They lost.
What is the next level? This comes back to that Thrice 8 Hermes guy's description of his view on society when he sat slumped as a jester character in a big old-fashioned chair. You know, he's kind of morose about it, but he's saying you can try and care about the Western world, who are, let's face it, the ones calling us idiots and throwing stones at us. You can try and express your empathy, but there comes a point where you just have to sit back and go, I'm just going to laugh at this because it's so absurd. You know, what else are you going to do? You'd go nuts if you didn't. Hey, Bev. No sound, amigo.
Is that Bev?
No, can't hear anything.
Is
How
that
you
Bev
doing,
talking?
Nathan?
I tell you what, everyone else on the panel, while I'm trying to do a sound check with Bev, it would really help if you all talked at the same time. Go ahead. Hey, Bev. I don't think we've got any sound from him anyway. While Bev's sorting out his sound, we'll rattle through the rest of the housekeeping questions. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, it's a light in the sky, and we don't know the distance.
Some flat earthers say it's 3,000 miles away.
Well, give us proof. I don't know. It could be 3,001 mile away, and they'd be wrong by 1 mile.
This got covered yesterday in Arwin's fundraiser. So check out Arwin's fundraiser because he has the exclusive on Rob Durham's video. And in there's a bit of a back and forth between Rob, 10th, me, and Adam Meakin about the square and compass in regards to what you're using to measure the sky and what you're using to measure the land. So it really was... I say this, it sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet a bit too much, but it really was a fascinating conversation because it's the first time it's been discussed on air. Now, this is something that we discuss frequently off air as we're edging millimetre by millimetre closer to an understanding about this stuff. But the things that we did discuss, obviously, we're only discussing them on air because we have got a reasonable enough understanding to convey what we're trying to detail on that show. So check out Arwin's fundraiser from yesterday if you want to see Rob Durham's video. And chuck him a quid or two. He's struggling to pay his rent at the minute, so he's having a bit of a meltdown over it, which I can't blame him. You know, financial struggles are a thing that I just have to laugh about, same as I do with society. It's just part of being a flat earth YouTuber. You know, you understand and appreciate that when you have to put your hand out, embarrassing though it is, you do, and you get the support that you hope for. And at least I hope Arwin will get exactly that. So check out his fundraiser. Intentionally by us guys, he's got extremely riveting content to go alongside it. So, you know, even if you're not that interested in giving Arwin money, you will definitely still want to check out that stream because it's ram-packed with content that's exclusive to Arwin at this stage. So, yeah, check it out. Be Here or Be Sphere. It was yesterday's Night Owl, I think he calls it, on the ARWIJN channel. But, yeah, I think he's a bit burnt out. So, give him a break, and hopefully throw him a quid or two, or whatever your currency is. Moving ahead. Is that Bev?
So what happened? Because I was on for 15 minutes and I didn't hear a word. It was totally silent.
Yeah.
So you're saying that show went on?
Yeah, that show went on. I mean, I had a good enough idea whilst monitoring. It was hard work, I've got to be honest, for me, because I'm there monitoring his stream and checking that sound's coming through and trying to stop everyone from addressing the technical issues. You know, the rest of the panel saying, look, we can just about hear Arwin. That's good enough. You know, show must go on, sort of thing, to a point. And you know, whilst hustling everyone to give Arwin money, those sorts of things are best done by somebody who isn't yourself. If you're trying to e-beg, it's always much better to have somebody do it for you. And I don't know, I'm a dab hand at that sort of thing, doing fundraisers for other people. But there we go. That's just how it was. It went on and it was fine. And Rob got to chat to us about his video, and the video got aired at the beginning of the show, or a third of the way in. Was that someone trying to talk? No? Clearly not. Someone with their mic wide open for no reason. Okay, there it is again.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. I just came off mute, but so maybe he's
It's
having trouble
level
getting.
spirit. It's level spirit.
Spirit, how you doing? Hello?
Level spirit, you're hot micing.
I'm muting.
Okie
Well, hold on a
dokie.
second. Let's just ask him nicely. Sometimes people are new to Discord and haven't figured out how it works. Try to look at your mute button.
Who asked him not nicely? Where'd you get "let's ask him nicely" out of that? The guy was as kind as he could be.
You don't have to defend me. That was preemptive, and I know it. Yeah, okay, refracted. I'll hold my tongue. Don't worry.
Yeah, but righteous is right, because the first time I went, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was getting accused of being a troll, and it was only what's his name? I forgot his name, but he talked me through it, and I got on.
Yeah, that's nice, but that's not what just took place here. The guy who spoke after Nathan was nice. I don't understand. Let's talk to him nice.
I just meant let's not mute him right away. Maybe he can get it figured out before we mute him. If not, we'll mute him.
Jedi,
Okay, we'll give it-
Jedi.
Okay, we are literally in the middle of a live show. So, Level Spirit, can you hear us? No, I'm in the 4th dimension. Right, let's move on.
That happened to my son the other night.
Okie doke. Let's move on. Let's get some control. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, but that was a great Twilight Zone when it was the child was in another dimension.
Okay. This is going well. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
No,
Negative.
it's been comical, them coming here telling us. All we're saying is show it to us. They can't show it to us, so they go into verbal diarrhea about it, and it's nonsense.
Well, it always comes to where do you get the gas pressure in the first place? You can't answer that question.
How about just showing it? You claim it, you say we're in it, just show it. If we're in it, you can show it, right?
Yes.
Well, what happens when you can't show it?
Then you can't have gas pressure without it being contained. End of story.
Outer space is fake. Moving on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
I have something on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like, what you're really asking for is gravity, which is an invalid description of a phenomenon no one's ever observed. You're asking for scientific evidence for that, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to say that nobody's ever observed it. It's not an accurate description of anything. And yeah, you'll probably never get to the scientific method with that.
Yeah,
and there's no clearly defined phenomenon.
Yeah, it's the metaphorical equivalent of asking for scientific evidence of travel through Narnia wardrobes.
Yeah, it is. But people believe that, gravity exists. How do you see through that if you're, been indoctrinated with it your whole life? Because if you try to tear apart the description, they'll jump back to the phenomenon. And if you tear apart the phenomenon, they'll go back to the description. And they just jump back and forth between the two.
Right, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
I was explaining that to my son yesterday. I was telling him there's plenty of phenomena, but they can't manipulate anything, so you can't have it.
Well, they can't manipulate anything that they claim would cause it.
Correct.
Yeah. So, in case the uninitiated aren't aware of why we asked this question, formerly the most recent edition prior to the question about curved adjacents, you don't have any science for a sphere. There isn't any. Zero. None. Nada. No science for a globe. So all of you are under the misapprehension that, science proves a sphere. Maybe you're under the delusion that the whole body of science proves you're on a sphere. Yet there isn't any science for a sphere. None.
Well, they'll come back and say there's no science for a flat Earth either.
But if they ask us that as a rebuttal, demonstrates a lack of understanding in science. We ask it because it is asserted as a positive assertion that there is scientific evidence of the sphere Earth. Hence, we ask for it because it's asserted to be in existence. We, who understand what science actually is, wouldn't ask for scientific evidence of a flat Earth because it's not a naturally occurring phenomena. So for them to ask us in response when we're not claiming scientific evidence of a flat Earth, and further to that, you can't establish a flat plane, that's a geometry, with science. It's absurd.
Now that was educational, Nathan.
Oh, thanks, Neil. You've blown a lot of smoke at my ass today. What have I done right?
Well, I done something right. I led you to that because I wanted you to say it that way.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Just have a quick check with Bev. Have you got yourself sorted, Bev? Can we hear you yet?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Mic check. Is that good?
Yeah, we hear you. Great. Good. So,
Is DP in here yet?
Who?
I'm just looking for some pictures.
Oh, okay.
To give you.
Good morning,
timing.
Bev.
We just concluded the housekeeping, so good timing.
Yeah, no problem.
So, yeah, hello, Bev. Good to have you.
Hello. Is DP in here, or is he? Is he not come?
DP?
Yeah.
DP, domesticated primate. No, he's not on the. He's not on the panel.
He can't get into his Google account. He might have to go in through the Discord. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, hold
Are
on.
you ready for us
everyone
to?
else, hold on. Bev, fill us in what's going on. Just excuse me while I clear my throat. Just fill us in what's going on so the audience know what's going on.
Okay, well, because it's the end of the, we call it the end of the test season, where we go out and do stuff. We go out to the beach. It's there's not much daytime. We finish the end of our optic tests, but the long nights in the UK, this is we're like into the idea of turning to the laser waving, and to do some laser tests, but more of a just to get out, especially you can't really go out and meet people and do all of that sort of stuff in this day and age. So that we've hit upon the chance of the laser waving, and one of the things that we've been doing, I've been after trying to do it for quite a while, is a laser test from Southport. Well, originally it was from Southport to Blackpool, because when I've been taking some pictures, it became noticeable that we can see the edge of Blackpool in mostly all of the pictures from Southport. Because it's a really bad beach, and that's the one where the famous 200-hour stared picture that somebody found on Facebook. That picture was taken at a really bad place on Southport Beach. It's really muddy to get there, and it's not a nice place. So we've developed another test just a little bit further up the beach, where we can get over a mile in a straight line down the test. So we've done a few optic tests down there, but we hit upon the chance of doing a laser test. So the laser test is where we both go on the beach. One person goes over to Blackpool, and one person on Ainsdale to Blackpool, A to B. Can be anywhere. You find a place that you can do, and you just get people in the other places, and you see whether you can see each other with the lasers. It's been quite good with some of the questions that, whether you should see it and what height you should see it and all of that sort of, irrelevant to us. We just want to go out and see whether we can do it. So that's the idea. I did offer it to other people that live in Blackpool to do this test, but they've declined. So DP has been coming up from down south, wherever he lives down south, up to see us, and we've been doing these tests. So we just sort of opening it up to as many people as they want, to come and join us to do this laser waving. Now, we don't know how far we're going to be able to see and how many people we can get out and about. But that's mainly the test. We're going to do it again. We think we've got some good tides coming up. Not this weekend, next weekend. Because we're looking at, certain tides have to be sorted for just for our benefit. So, I mean, what do you want? I can give you some pictures.
Yeah, you can line them up. I can just plug my audience for who you are and what you do, because we mention you a lot, but you're not that often on the panel. So Bev is the guy we're talking about when we accredit an entire channel to one argument that we're currently having about curved adjacents and that geometry. So when we mentioned Bev Try Thinking and saying he's dragging the globers around by the short hairs with this specifically and has been for several years, this is Bev. So you need to go immediately and subscribe to him if you haven't done so already. Because like me, when I moan about no one coming because it only has an audience, that's this show, if people share the show, well, likewise, we only increase in subscriber base if our own promote us. So I've got to promote Bev to pay it forward, otherwise he won't grow. So please go and subscribe immediately to Bev, and hopefully that'll, in turn, increase the amount of people he gets participating in these events that he does. So just so we're assured in terms of what Bev's situation while he lines up his pictures, let me know when you've got anything you want to share, and I'll just stick it on for the audience, Bev.
Yeah, one question.
Go ahead.
If he wants domestic on, I fixed his. He can get on the Discord server now. So if he wants to, he can try through Discord. You just got to give him the link.
The Discord, it's underneath the video, so if you can find his way to the live stream, it's the same link always for Discord.
He'll probably be listening in.
All right, and then go on livestream QE, and once I see you there, I'll move you down.
Or livestream Q, wherever. Just jump in Discord. Hopefully we'll get to chat. Did you want to preemptively tell us who domesticated... What's his name again? Primate? Domesticated primate?
Domesticated primate's the meme guy. I mean, everybody knows who DP is in this sort of arena. The DP does all of the memes that trigger, let's say. He does all of our memes. He does most of my thumbnails, t-shirt designs. He's our graphics man on the team. But also the tester, he comes out and we do when we go out filming, we do most of that. I'd like to say it's mostly of what we do is we don't do much live stuff and we don't present live on the YouTube, but most of what we do is live within the Discord. And because we are the people out in the field, when we broadcast live stuff, we broadcast it into the Discord. So that makes it a bit difficult for me personally to broadcast it onto YouTube, running multiple live things, and we're just not equipped for that. So when we are doing tests, we do it in the Next Level Discord server, and it's up to everybody to go in there and record the stuff. Obviously, if I'm out there, I can't really record anything either. So I have to use the people that kindly record what we do in the Discord, and then I can use that video to put my videos out when we're out testing anyway. So most of the live stuff that we do when we do testing, we do live music, all of that sort of stuff, it's just within the Discord, and only the conversations that we have, we put out live onto the YouTube. So most of the stuff happens in the Discord, and that's where we do all of these live tests. It makes it better because there's the communication over the distance is hard to do if you're on YouTube and on the phone and all of that sort of stuff. So you can just broadcast your screen and talk to people within the Discord and broadcast it all into the Discord. So I find Discord to be a very good, useful tool for this. And obviously, a lot of people can go into the Discord and be involved in it too. That's what I'd like to promote that.
Sure. So that's Next Level Discord server, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check it
Yes.
out. If you're a Discord user, that's where you can see live streams. And I totally appreciate what you're saying in terms of the complexities of doing it. You know, and I didn't mention this earlier, but Arwin was, you know, struggling with all the assistance he could have had yesterday because, not to blow my own trumpet, it is hard. And, you know, what you're doing is getting the most efficient compromise that lets you give the information out without having to go through the faff of setting up stream keys and all that kind of nonsense. And you just want to get the information out and get it to whoever's in the Discord server, and hopefully with enough people there, there's somebody there actually, you know, recording it for brevity or whatever the word is.
Yeah. Yeah, we have done quite a lot of tests. I mean, the latest one we did was we pegged out a line 1 mile and walked it in the auto level. So you could actually see the perspective compression disappearing into the distance. Now, there's quite a few things we have learned from that relating to horizontal, obviously, because that's what we deal with mainly. It's very simple. What we do is really basic geometry, and it's all centered around the straight line, the one that you're asking for a curved adjacent. Well, we've been asking for that for quite a long time. And
indeed, I just want to expand that out. When you say we deal with that, it makes it sound like it's isolated to you, Next Level Discord server, and these tests in quotes. But
yeah,
we,
I mean, everybody deals.
Everybody,
with it.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that has been our specific focus of you know, we don't try and go too far into all of the other arguments. We simplify that one particular argument, and it's never ending, because I know there's a group of people that have to curve it, and it's impossible to.
Well, what I would like, if you're willing, is hopefully a seal of approval. So far, so good with everyone it's been run past so far. But we've got a new housekeeping question, and as Bev's just alluded to, speaking to the audience, this is something that basically that channel is about. And I can't stress this enough. Watching Bev drag ballers around by their short hairs with it is endless amusement to me. I love your channel. I think it's very amusing. The fact that it's all premieres that people have that's fine. You know, I know that the stuff doesn't come out live. It doesn't faze me in the slightest, and I've got the same attitude as QE. What difference does it really make? Well, not really any. And if you really are so inclined to watch it live, then you can on the Next Level Discord server. You can literally watch it as it's happening, if that's what you must have, you know, for those of you who want that. But Bev is dragging people around by their short hairs, and we've now got, and I'm so glad we have, a housekeeping question that is essentially like the Bev Try Thinking channel's topic of choice, which is to say, how can you have, or is there any evidence you can have a curved adjacent whilst acquiring an elevation angle? So that's the housekeeping question. What do you think?
It sounds a little bit tricky to me. You mean it sounds I don't know. What we've been doing, what we found is that the whole geometry argument is based around a logical concept, and it seems as though those logical concepts that it's structured around have been lost. So a lot of the words make this argument a little bit trickier than it should be. And it's basically, the way I see it, is you're asking for, can you have an angle with one of the lines being curved? Which,
Correct.
Very simply within geometry, is impossible. Unless, of course, you make up a new geometry, which we've also helped them out with, imaginometry.
Here we go. Keep going, Bev. You're on fire, mate. Keep going.
It does. It builds into it, because one of the concepts of imaginometry is this can never be drawn. It can never be shown. It's only in the mind, which is exactly where this curved angle sort of concept comes from. It's made up by people who are model afflicted that have to imagine something that just isn't possible. They have no way of telling it. So I think, yes, it's perfect for you with your housekeeping questions. It's just adding more questions to it that they can't answer. There is no answer. They imagine they have answers to all of these questions, the group of people that we're talking about, but there is none.
Well, this is why I like this particular aspect so much in terms of how we actually function on the plane that we dwell atop, which is to say that when they use the sextant in any of their arguments, they first must acquire an angle. Or to put it another way, they first must do something on a flat plane to then beg the question of a sphere. Now, with almost all other arguments that come our way, Bev, they start the other way around. If we're on a sphere, blah, 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 blah. Well, with this, they say it very quickly. Once I've got my angle from a flat plane, then I talk about how it's coming from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, and you've got infinitely distant stars, and they're basically coming in parallel to the same point, so it's basically the same as the angle measured on a flat plane. That sort of thing. Well, I love that. They can't beg the question of a sphere before they actually measure the angle. So they're dead in the water the moment that you ask them where they got the angle. So where'd you get the angle again? Oh, off a flat plane.
Yeah, which is why I like the idea of the laser test, because in order to simplify it, what you end up with is a line from Ainsdale to Blackpool, or A to B, could be anywhere. If you can see the light, then are you seeing it in a straight line of sight, or are you seeing that light in a curved line of sight? Well, all understanding that I know so far has led me to believe light travels in a straight line, straight path. But like we had, what's his name? Ruhif. Have you heard of Ruhif?
I am aware of the one known as Ruhif.
He's one of those severely model afflicted people that we were talking about. Well, he said the other day, and he'll say it quite regularly, that that light actually bends, because I don't know that curved adjacent that you're asking for, he automatically assumes it's there. You can measure angles to it. Water bends at that rate. Air also bends at
I'm sorry to
that
interrupt
rate.
you. Just that curved adjacent. I'm just going to play one section of Rob Durham's video. So check this out. The full version is currently exclusively available on Arwin's fundraiser from yesterday. Sorry to cut you off, Bev, but just check this out. Listen up.
Is because the Earth is flat.
Okay, to briefly touch on what the guys over at Flat Earth Debate have been saying, we're going to use the same example. So the GP position's here, our position's here where these two lines intersect, and we're going to look at it from an orthographic view. Okay. If we're standing here on the Earth, this is the angle to the celestial body. Let's take a line from our position representing the horizon. The angle formed here is definitely not 90 degrees. And even at the position where it meets the Earth, you can't have a 90-degree angle to a curved surface. And AutoCAD will actually verify this, because if I choose this angular dimension command, I can pick this line, and it will give me an angle between them. If I try to pick this line and this arc, it says here, object selected is not a line. So it just will not give me a dimension. And why would it? How could it? It would be different wherever you picked on that arc. The angle would be different at every single point.
So where are you getting your 90 degrees? Where are you getting your straight line to form the 90 degrees? And where are you getting your circle? Nothing seems to work on the globe.
Brilliant.
That was it. That was the main bit I wanted you to focus on in this regard. There's an entire revelation in terms of the transposition from Mercator back onto Globe, which he also exposes in that video. As I say, it's exclusive to Arwen at the moment. It's part of his fundraiser from yesterday. If you can, chuck him a buck or two when you go and watch it. It's the only place you can watch it, so that little snippet's all you're getting from me at the moment. But yeah, he's just showing in AutoCAD. You can't have a curved adjacent, basically, which was your point a moment ago, Bev, just to tail you back in.
Yeah. In order, I mean, like we structure most of our stuff around geometry and Euclidean geometry, and the call it the elements is the book we go with, and that's the basic fundamentals of geometry, which, like I said earlier, is founded on logic. So it's not because somebody's wrote something down in a book that's the rules. That's not the way geometry works. Geometry is founded on logic, which is founded on nature that we find. All of the vertical and horizontal being reference frames are used as such. They're straight lines. That everyone knows that. Perpendicular, what perpendicular means is the relationship of the straight line to the maximally opposed other straight line. And the existence of one means the other one is there by necessity. But in order to do that, you need a straight line.
Well, indeed, this is something that's coming up currently. It's a little bear trap that a couple of people have fallen into, that the 10th man had laying out there for about 6 months straight with the bubble sextant. So these principles, we're talking about them, but not from just a good base understanding of the geometry that you're talking about, which is where you come from. We're having the examples given to us by 10th Man about, the practical use of a sextant and how those angles work. So for me, who's definitely not maths orientated, it's very useful to have someone like 10th on our side telling us this is how it's actually being applied. So you can visualize it and go, okay, I understand that. You're getting a straight line, you're getting a parallel. What the bubble sextant's giving you is the level already, so you don't need dip correction. But when it's explained with a thing, it makes it so much more digestible. I still appreciate there's going to be people out there that just aren't wired to get this sort of stuff. I'm not demeaning anybody. Some people just don't like this kind of proof. Fair enough. For me, it's one where you've got, what do you call them? Axioms. Do you want to go through that with my audience? I'd be really grateful if you would.
Well, the axioms of geometry are this mainly is something like you just said. You're not very good at maths. Well, geometry is the foundation of mathematics because the numbers can lie. They know numbers can lie. There's like a trick, a magic trick. But in order to have a true understanding of what you're dealing with and end up with the truth value, logic is the only way you can do it. Now, maths is formed on logic, and geometry is the foundation of the logic. The straight line. It's rather strange when you get into it, but what you do in geometry first off is you define the words that you're dealing with and the things that you're doing. So the definitions come first and foremost. The understanding of what the words mean. Now, there's loads of those definitions that I know, everyone knows. A straight line, it can't really be defined. I don't want to go into it, but I mean, and a triangle having 3 straight lines is the formulation of 3 points, 3 coplanar points. So once you define everything, what an angle is and what a straight line is, all of that, then you can work into the axioms. And the axioms are self-evident truths. So they're basic, really, really basic things, like a half of something is 2 equals. Like you can't have something great. One of the best ones that I like is 2 straight lines cannot enclose a space. It's brilliant.
That's correct.
That is definitely correct. Cannot be falsified. Yet, that's a fundamental flaw with the model. It's up to people to find it themselves, but that's disappeared. They just get rid of the axioms that they don't want to have to deal with. They get rid of them, and they'll say they don't need it. Now, one of the main things of geometry and logic is the law of non-contradiction. You can't have something being something and something else. You can't have it contradicting itself, which is the basic concept of a straight line. A straight line cannot be a circle within logic, which is the understanding that I live with. Also, you have to get rid of that basic law in order to have a model that you think you live on.
Yeah, you've got a term for that too, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say bendizontal. It's akin to you can't have a bent radius, right? When you say a straight line can't be a circle, the antithesis or the opposite, if you will, is a radius can't be bent. But they will just throw out these simple tenets that you must base anything that you're going to assert with truth in geometry away. Literally, you've said it already. I'm just repeating what you've said, but they have to throw it out. Well, no, we just don't accept that.
Yeah. Yeah, but the bendizontal came from, it's your curved adjacent that you're looking for. That came from the fact very, very early on, me and Spot On, when we were discussing this, we realized that once you go down the geometric path and use logic to do this, the only way out for the globe model believer is bendizontal. That's their answer to it. They have to take that straight line and turn it into a circle. They're forced into it.
Because just before you go on, that is what's happened. Your flat terrain, the plane that we dwell atop, has been turned into a sphere. So when you get down to the brass tacks of somebody who won't relinquish their fundamentalist religious belief, and you say, well, what is it that we're actually talking about here? We're talking about an individual turning a straight line into a circle. That's what we're actually talking about.
Yeah. They have to. They're forced into it. And that's been the basis of what I do. All of my conversations can be boiled down to that. But we've sort of taught them their argument, right? They just go with, well, yeah, level curves. It doesn't, but that's their argument now. So they avoid the argument. And I'm sorry if that's what's, because, you know, the moment you talk about that curved adjacent, that's what you're talking about, is that bending that horizontal into a circle, having a circular horizontal, which they have in their model within their new geometry.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, but that is what it's required to be on a sphere, Neil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you look into the geometric and logical argument, that they have to go there. Circular straight lines. Have you ever heard of a great circle?
Indeed.
Well, why is it great? Because in reality, it's actually a straight line.
Pretty sure Awesome Circle was already trademarked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a circle at all. It's just, it's in your mind. You put that extra great in front of it, and you can give it the concept of, well, you can imagine it as a circle, but it's not.
In terms of navigation, when we're dealing with parallel lines, you gave one of the axioms earlier that those two parallel lines can't enclose an area, right? That's a
no,
principle.
Two straight lines cannot enclose a space.
Right. So if
we can.
If the notion is that we need to be penned in, and you've got a couple of options, one would require the need to explain away that potentially there's a border that doesn't exist. Let's just call it a dome. Or have it wrap around itself. Just make a straight line in other words, wrapping around on itself, that's a much better solution if you want to pen people in, enclose a space, so to speak. So, in my humble opinion, the lesser of two evils, if you're trying to convince people that there's nothing more to see here, is to have them going around in circles in their mind rather than pondering what the limitation is. Because there isn't one. If you bend a straight line into a circle, you've managed to enclose a space with it.
In people's minds.
Indeed. Well, that's right. Why you very sharp, Bev. I didn't expect that to happen at all. That was going to be, after a few more sentences, my segue into what we talked in the pre-show. So we were talking about whether or not your belief can affect reality. I say absolutely not. Your belief makes absolutely no difference to reality unless you actually act upon what you want and make it so, manifest it by physical action. However, in your mind's eye, your perception of reality is absolutely distortable. Your truth about being on a sphere, if you're watching this and you've never come across the show before, very unlikely statistically. Anyway, let's not moan about YouTube. If you just were that hypothetical person that probably doesn't exist that's watching this and is just an absolute straight up normie who thinks he's on a sphere, in his reality, that person is actually in their mind's eye on a sphere, flying through space, with Star Wars type sky vacuums that you could go through. Now that is their reality. It isn't reality. It's just what they believe reality is. So from that perception, Bev, just to bring you back into this conversation, hopefully John as well. Also, hello, Adam. What's your take on that in terms of my stone cold no way believe what you like? It don't affect the actual reality of the situation. What do you reckon, Bev?
I try and have as few beliefs as possible. I always try and prove it to myself, or as much as you can. And one of the questions early on was that, how much do you believe, and what do your beliefs actually mean? I mean, I've always had this strange thing about religion and realizing that faith is I don't know, it's something founded on a belief, but with no actual evidence. And I believe that's what belief and faith are sort of similar. You're just trusting, hoping. It's what you believe.
You used a good word. You said realize. What does realize actually mean?
Make it real.
Right.
Make it real for yourself.
Exactly. Have it in your eye. But that has two ways of perceiving it. To have the world a sphere in your eye is to believe that you're on a sphere. So you realise that you're on a sphere if you're a fundy, because in your eye, the world is a sphere. That's where the trick comes in, because you're not actually realising it, because you're not actually seeing it with real eyes. You aren't out in space looking at fundy Muppet vision of a sphere, Earth, and the place they claim the pictures come from isn't real either. So you're never going to get to do it. So it's a fake realisation, just a belief, right? Which is very different to a realisation. And how do you realise things? Well, you have to actualise them. In other words, you have to make them real to realise them, if you will. Now that takes doing, that takes effort, that takes, a bit of tenacity most of the time, which a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, because of my upbringing, I've never had a model, so I was going through life just, thinking I was a normal person, right? Up until the fact that somebody questioned something that seems to trigger a lot of people. This particular question of belief and shape, and what do you believe the Earth is, right? Well, I've never had that model. So Big E has never been my imaginary friend. And since I don't really have a belief system, whenever you try and prove something to yourself, like I have to do, when questioned about level being horizontal, and I had to prove that to myself, then I do. I did. I have. But proof is only yours. You can't hand it to somebody else. So Now I don't have a belief that level is horizontal. I have a knowing that it is. There's quite a few of us that do. And that changes this belief idea into a knowing. So I know for a fact that level is horizontal. Now, I also know the geometric implications of that being a straight line. It doesn't put a model into my head. It's just that I know. And that I know there's some things that I will never know also. Which
you have a similar attitude to myself in that regard, Bev, because you're not too concerned with proving it to yourself. You have this self-assured nature that tells me you're not too concerned with the people who confront you with their model, because you know there's no requirement for one. Now, that self-assurance has come from your knowing things about aspects of the world you live in, and once you acquire that, you stop kind of concerning yourself quite so much with people demanding that you prove what you know to them, because you think, well, why would I want to do that? All you're going to do is fight with me, and it doesn't change what I know.
Yeah, I've always been searching for this proof of things. Nobody up until, a few years ago had told me I was a child abuser for thinking level was horizontal. So I'd never had to try and prove it, because I guess you already know, right? The fundamental truth of life is that you know certain things, especially if you work with them. So having to prove it brought something into me that meant that I now had to learn what it was to prove something to yourself, which is a wonderful journey.
Wonderful journey. That's on that path. You've got certain people who aren't open-minded, aren't on a journey at all. They're literally stuck in some ditch along the side of your path that you're walking along, demanding that you accept their fantasy with very, very limited understanding of their own fantasy, let alone a willingness to listen to you in terms of what you're journeying for. And those people are going to be the ones that demand that you do accept their fantasy reality that, when challenged, is actually standing in contradiction to a lot of standard principles that you describe. You often talk about Euclid on your show. I'm hoping while the live show's still going, you can give us a couple of examples of that, and then we can hopefully encourage you to stay for the after show a little bit if you're willing.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah. Euclid is just the fundamentals of understanding. I mean, it's the fundamentals of basic geometry that everybody already knows. So it's not a geometry book per se. I find it's a logic book. It teaches you how to prove things to yourself. It teaches you how to understand the fundamentals of actually what's going on, which I find a lot of the people that you end up talking to, they've gone beyond that into this imaginometry land, we call it, where they've forgotten the basics and the concepts and the first principles, and gone off into fantasy land. Well, the Euclid it puts you a firm understanding that you know the basics, and the story of how that develops into the concept of enclosing space in people's minds is a fascinating thing. And like you say, you said there was people at the side of the road. Well, that's part of the journey, right? When you go into this finding proof for yourself and understanding and all of that sort of thing, that you become to understand that those people at the side of the road they're a distraction, and that's all they want. They want to distract you, because I don't know, the mind that's been closed off, if that closure like seals off, I don't think you can open it back up again.
Perfect. getting a lot of love for the Imaginometry from the live chat. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!